Steps is Twitter taking to improve security online? Joining us live is the Mashable.com tech reporter Samantha Murphy in New York. Samantha, thanks for joining us.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. You know, last week you weren't here, but we were talking about how there are a lot more ads and ways to buy things and click on things on Twitter. And of course, it's always been a feed for that, but it seems like that's been improving, and there's been more of those popping up on a lot of our feeds. But with that comes security questions, right?
Sure. Yes. I mean, anything that's popular online is going to be a hotbed for cyber criminals, whether it's Pinterest or Facebook or Twitter. They're going to want to go where the eyeballs are. So there's lots of different things that are happening on Twitter. There's lots of phishing scams, which go after your passwords and your user information as well. But there's also hacking groups that they call themselves hacktivists. And they use the platform to kind of amplify the message or statements that they want to make. And we've been seeing a lot of that happening recently as well.
Yeah, and they've hacked major, I mean, not just those of us who have our own accounts that we're worried about our credit card information or whatever being taken, but Burger King, Jeep, some big name corporations have been hit, and that does have some pretty big implications. Yes,
definitely. A few weeks ago, Burger King was hacked, like you mentioned. A few days later, Jeep was hacked. And basically, just to give you a quick background on what happened, a hacktivist group, Anonymous, they were behind the Burger King hacking, and what they did was they switched the avatar and the header photo in the back, and they made it into a McDonald's branding. And they sent about 50-something tweets in about 70 minutes, and a lot of these messages were retweeted, and it went all over the internet. A lot of them were, some of them were racial, offenses and stuff like that. So people were, kind of upset that and realized, brands who are managing big sites that anybody is at risk here. You could have 15 followers, or you could have 15 million followers, and people are still logging in the same way with one password. And with that in itself, there's a lot of security issues around that.
Right. Samantha, is this indicative of a greater problem? We had a guest on earlier this hour talking about cybersecurity and a threat being faced from Chinese hackers and North Korean hackers. But you talked about hacktivists. I mean, is this indicative of a greater cybersecurity issue that we're dealing with now on a massive level?
Sure. I mean, like he was saying earlier, we really are at risk for some sort of cyber warfare. Experts are already talking about talking to business schools and trying to teach people that are going into this space on how to prevent these things from happening. But I mean, if you just look at, let's take a very simple example. Let's say you're at an airport and the ticketing system goes down at the airport. People can't board their planes, the flight isn't able to leave the gate, and then the flights in the air aren't able to come in and then are rerouted to another airport. So just something so small like that can have much bigger effects. And then also, electricity in the middle of the winter could go out, or trains could even be derailed. There's a lot of, our systems, a lot of our infrastructures haven't been changed in 30 years. And these hackers, and a lot of them moonlight, or at least hacktivists, are IT specialists that do these things, moonlight, on the side. But, it's very powerful, these platforms, but when taken advantage of, there are certainly some negative and terrible things that could happen from it as well.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a couple quick chats before we let you go. One is, isn't anyone listening says, I'm not a techie or a hacker, but I do know that whatever me or anyone else puts on the net is retrievable. And Joyce EB says, Adam, I clicked on YouTube and now I can't get off Twitter. It shows up with my pictures. So there are a couple of things that viewers are talking about, some of the things that they're dealing with.
Sure. Yes. Like I mentioned, you could just be an average user, or you could be a major brand, and you're still confronted with these things. And I think that people are concerned. I don't think it's, anyone should panic, but I do think that there are really quick, simple things you should do. You should have passwords that are lengthy, 10 characters, numbers, symbols, letters. If you are letting third parties, mesh with your apps on Twitter, you should go back afterwards and take that out, because they save information. So there's lots of little steps you can do to be preventative. But in the meantime, sites like Twitter need to step up their security so we can feel more secure in the long run as well.
All right, Samantha Murphy, tech reporter at Mashable.com. You can find her at Murphy Samantha J. It's her Twitter handle. We appreciate you coming on, talking about security.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right.